Episode 19, Hallowinx Havoc. To celebrate them all gaining Ardorix and to give themselves a break from all the chaos, the Winx decide to enjoy some downtime in Gardenia. Most of the girls are confused by all the spooky, outlandish costumes worn by the citizens. Bloom and Roxy explain that it's Halloween, a day where Earth celebrates all things dark and scary and supernatural. Bloom's a bit sad that the girls don't remember the first Halloween they shared together, but when Roxy says that she's curious to hear about it too, Bloom fondly recounts how they were invited to a spooky manor by her childhood nemesis, Mitzi, who pulled a prank on them to make them think that the place was haunted. As if summoned by the mere mention of her name, Mitzi rounds the corner in a flashy sports car, allegedly her reward for recruiting so many boss babes beneath her. Never mind the fact that she still has to make the payments for it and also is currently driving uninsured. In any case, Mitzi is hosting an even bigger Halloween party this year at the abandoned, foreboding Orfeo estate in the woods outside of Gardenia. While Bloom is hesitant, the others figure it could be fun, and if Mitzi tries something again, they'll be ready for it, just like they always are. Allegedly. In any case, Stella is excited about the costume contest, ready to design new outfits for them all and the specialists. The others are concerned for Stella's sanity, though Techna offers to help with designing, measurements, and materials, much to Stella's joy. Watching all of this through the crystal ball at Alfea, the nosy Trix are, as always, at the ready to undermine the Winx's celebration. Moreover, they're trying to kill time given Selina has emphasized she'll need time to prepare the Witch Queen ritual. Though she says that they have all that they need, it's clear she's hiding something. In any case, the Trix decide to take this opportunity to eliminate the Winx ahead of time with the help of Selina. Not to mention, Darcy has an idea of how to use their prisoners' necks and crystal to their advantage. That night, people begin gathering at the Orfeo estate, an opulent Italian Gothic villa with a rather large cemetery out back. It seems almost all of Gardenia has been invited here. Naturally, the Winx invited the specialists, yes, including Naboo, to go through everyone's costumes real quick. Bloom is a dragon, obviously. Stella and Brandon are the moon god and goddess. Laura is Mother Nature. Helia is a werewolf. Musa is a muse. What else? Techna is a cyborg. Timmy is an alien. Aisha and Naboo are a mermaid and merman. But like with scaly pants, because trying to move around giant tails would be a nightmare. Roxy is a cat girl. Riven is a punk rock star. And Roy is a disco icon. And yes, Bloom and Roxy did give them all pointers on common Halloween costumes. Roxy was really tempted to have them go as embarrassing things, and Bloom was like, no, we can't be that chaotic. The others are curious as to why this place is even here, and so Bloom takes the chance to don her spookiest, cheesiest narrator voice and recount the story of the Bloody Count. Orfeo. Long ago, Orfeo was a wealthy count from Italy who adored his lover Eurydice. He showered her in lavish gifts and played for her on his lyre, and they would entertain their little town with extravagant parties with the finest food and drink. But as time went on, Orfeo feared his looming death, and so sought a way to cease his aging, and he discovered it, drinking the blood of a magical creature, thus becoming a vampire. When he tried to convince Eurydice to join him in eternity, she was horrified and left him, leaving Orfeo dejected and alone. The jilted count then left Italy and supposedly built this estate here, a near-perfect replica of his old home, but far colder and lonelier. He would soon host new parties where he invited the people of Gardenia to his manor. Once there, he would transform them into vampires, in the vain hope this would provide him with eternal company. The townspeople eventually discovered his efforts and besieged his estate, driving a wooden stake through his heart and locking him in a garlic-lined coffin beneath his home. It is said that one day, Count Orfeo would return and continue to transform humans in search of a new lover. After the Creepy story. The Winx are greeted by Macy, Mitzi's younger sister, who is here at the party dressed as a traditional fairy. She's been hanging out with a band that Mitzi hired for the party, so Bloom, Musa, and Roxy decide to go check it out with her. The others, meanwhile, are led to enter the costume contest by Stella, though a disinterested Riven decides to wander off with Roy keeping him company. Of course, the Trix and their little accomplices are here too. Icy is the Snow Queen, Darcy is the sorceress Circe, who turned men into animals, Stormy is the bride of Frankenstein, and Selina is a traditional witch. Pointy hat and broomstick included. For the time being, they decide to scope out the scene and wait for the perfect moment to strike. Not to mention, Stormy is curious about all the drinks on offer. Darcy also has the hypnotized Nex and Crystal go to spy on the Winx and specialists, with Nex in his paladin uniform and Crystal in her wingless fairy form. Heading to the theater, Bloom and the others head backstage to find her old friend Andy, along with his bandmates Mark and Rio, all dressed as skeletons. Andy asks about how things have been going, to which Bloom gives a SparkNote summary of all the nonsense. Before she does, Andy suggests that Musa sing with his band, to which she excitedly agrees. As they talk, Bloom begins to recall spending Halloween with Selina as a child. Admittedly, Andy doesn't recall much about Selina, aside from how Bloom just one day seemed to stop talking about her entirely. Musa, meanwhile, is approached by Jason Queen, who is curious as to how her music career has gone the last couple of years. Musa's a bit awkward since she can't remember anything, but is surprised by the fact that she didn't follow through with Jason's record deal, and also that she formed a band with the Winx? Are they even musically inclined? Do they know how to use instruments? And Bloom was the lead singer. Girl, what? Roxy and Macy talk a bit, where we learn that Macy is frustrated that she still isn't able to transform. Roxy explains that for her fairy form was unlocked in a moment of great need, where her desire to protect her father and her dog were strong enough to set it free. Macy hopes that'll happen for her soon, just in less dire circumstances. Stella is excited as hell for the costume contest, largely because she created everyone's outfits. Aisha wonders why they couldn't just use their Ardorix forms as costumes, but Techna reminds her that given their fame on Earth, it would likely be seen as cheating. While they banter about Stella's designs, Flora looks off and spots Crystal watching them from afar. When she tells the others, they're confused at first, debating whether she actually is here, and if she is, whether she's here to help or is part of one of the Trix's latest schemes. Elsewhere, Riven is unable to enjoy himself. He's accepted he and Musa's breakup, but he admittedly feels a bit out of place given the fact that the Winx and Specialist bond seem to be hinged on their relationships. Roy quips about how insane that is, saying that after all these years, they at least should consider each other friends. And moreover, Riven is still worried about Nex, wondering what the Trix will do to him. As if on cue, that's when he spots Nex watching them in the crowd. He recognizes the glazed look in his eyes immediately, having experienced a similar hypnosis magic himself, and so he and Roy followed Nex. As the costume contest is held, Aisha finds herself off in a relatively quiet corner with Naboo. She's clearly uncomfortable, not enjoying the loud music and jumping at particularly freaky costumes and some of the Halloween decor. When Naboo asks if she's okay, Aisha says that she has no clue why anyone would want to celebrate a day about all things dark and scary. The gloominess of the manor is not helping either. To help comfort her, Naboo uses his magic to conjure floating little lava lamps all around them, which Aisha recognizes as Morphix. Naboo mentions how Aisha had started to teach him how to make Morphix. His creations are a bit crude as he's still learning, but you know, A for effort. Aisha starts to remember this, teaching him before she had been hit with the Lethe spell, which shocks her, and she wonders if she's beginning to understand how it might be possible to work through the Lethe spell. Flora, meanwhile, is busy trying to confront Crystal. She asks if she's okay, but Crystal just doesn't respond, and Flora realizes that it must be one of Darcy's hypnosis spells. What really has Flora concerned is that Crystal is missing her wings. With everyone having shown off their outfits, Mitzi, dressed as a vampire queen, announces the winners of the contest. the Winx. Confused, they are thrust onto the stage, including Flora, while the hypnotized Crystal continues staring from the audience. Mitzi apologizes for how she's treated them in the past. Bloom tries to thank her, but before she can speak, one of Mitzi's friends in the crowd runs in screaming, saying that the bloody Count has returned. Behind her is a man in a comically long cloak, terribly applied makeup, and dollar store fangs that make his words almost unintelligible. He claims Mitzi to be his long-lost bride. Before he descends on the stage, the Winx, save for Bloom and Roxy, transform and blast the man back, revealing him to indeed be an ordinary man in a very cheap vampire costume. And they all deduce that this is yet another prank by Mitzi. Roxy is confused by what the point of this was supposed to be, though it's clear Mitzi didn't really think this one through very much, and was literally just trying to pull the same trick that she did all those years ago. And Mitzi's kind of terrified since she realizes that the Winx could vaporize her in a second if they really wanted. So while the Winx chew out the now embarrassed Mitzi and Bloom heals the poor guy that they zapped, Selina takes the opportunity to invite the real Bloody Count to the party. As she uses the Legendarium, Macy spots her, then pushes her way through the crowd to reach the Winx and warn them. Unfortunately, Selina manages to summon the Vampire Lord successfully. So as the Winx confronts Selina, Icy, and Stormy, with everyone in the crowd eager to watch rather than escape as the specialists try to force them to safety, we see Orfeo emerge from his coffin underground. Out in the cemetery behind the estate, Riven and Roy have followed next, but are confused when they don't see the Trix anywhere. Roy quickly realizes what's happening. At his insistence, they narrowly avoid a shadow trap set by Darcy. The Witch of Darkness reveals herself and a fight ensues, where she forces Nex to attack them. As they fight, Orfeo arrives along with a chilling mist, curious as to why so many are trespassing upon his home. Darcy assumes that he must serve the Trix since Selina has summoned him. Actually, he is not serving anyone but himself, and turns her, Nex, and Roy into vampires, forcing Riven to flee to warn the others. The Winx continue their fight with Selina and the other Trix. Bloom hesitates to fight Selina, though Selina has no problem attacking first. It is during this that Orfeo begins turning many of the partygoers into vampires. As Riven tries to warn the Winx and specialists, Orfeo catches a glimpse of Stella and instantly recognizes the similarities between her and Eurydice. He lunges, transforming her into a vampire. On the defensive, the remaining Winx, specialists, and Trix are forced to flee. But in the process, Selina loses the Legendarium, which Orfeo takes an interest in when he sees his own story written within its pages. Episode 20, The Vampire King. Picking up where we left off, we see all the partygoers at the Orfeo estate, including Darcy, Roy, Nex, and Crystal, now vampires, all under the control of Count Orfeo. He's in possession of the Legendarium, confused as to why his story is within its pages. If the book was able to revive him, perhaps he will be able to use it to rewrite his fate. In any case, he's still taken by the transformed Stella's beauty, and believes that an eternity with her may help him to forget the pain of being spurned long ago by Eurydice. Elsewhere, Icy, Stormy, and Selina have escaped. Icy tells Selina to summon the Legendarium back to her hand and send Orfeo back to where he came from. Unfortunately, Selina can't. While real people can't take the Legendarium from its owner, fictional ones summoned from the Legendarium world very much can. And even if she gets it back, it won't be as simple as demanding he return to its pages. Stormy suggests that they go back and level the place, but Icy isn't sure they would be able to handle so many enemies, and risking Selina being turned into a vampire would be too dangerous. If she's turned, there will be no way to stop Orfeo. As much as she hates to admit it, Icy says there's only one way to save their sister. The Winx, meanwhile, have regrouped at Mike and Vanessa's apartment, along with the specialists and Macy, with Mike noting how claustrophobic the space is with this many people. Though the situation is grim, Bloom and Roxy go over classic vampire weaknesses that they might be able to exploit: daylight, garlic, wooden stakes, and running water. Techna comments how it's unfortunate they've lost Stella, since her light powers would have been the most effective against Orfeo. Aisha might be able to use her water magic to corral the vampires without hurting them. Fire might also prove effective against them, which gives them all a bit of hope. A clap of thunder catches them all off guard as the lights go off. The windows burst open, accompanied by a cold wind coating the room in frost. Enter Icy, Stormy, and Selina. The Winx move to transform, but Icy says they're here to propose a temporary truce and alliance. The Trix explain their predicament and how they share the goal of saving one of their own from the bloody Count and stopping him. As such, it would be best to work together for the time being. The Winx and specialists aren't convinced, but Bloom asks Selina if she knows what Orfeo plans to do with Stella. Selina explains that Orfeo has been seeking to fill the void left behind by Eurydice. As such, he is likely going to make Stella his bride, a new lover to replace the one that left him. Should he succeed, his story within the Legendarium will change, and he very well might fully anchor himself into the real world, amplifying his power. He's likely to recreate the wedding he'd planned for Eurydice, a vow of eternal life over toast with glasses of blood, witnessed by the midnight moon's light and sealed with a kiss. They only have a couple hours before midnight, giving them a small window of time to stop Orfeo. While the others formulate their plan, Bloom speaks to Selina off to the side. She tries to get to the bottom of why Selina hates her so much, why Selina would want to work with Acheron, and what exactly tore apart their friendship in the first place. Selina says that she'd almost forgotten that Bloom would have no memory of that day or of Eldora. When it's clear that Selina's done talking, Bloom tries to appeal to their friendship, recalling hazy memories of Halloweens they would spend together dressed as a fairy and a witch. Selina quickly shoots that down with the last Halloween before their friendship dissolved, when Bloom ditched Selina to go to Andy's party. Rejoining the others, Brandon, Techna, and Icy lay out the plan. Bloom, Selina, and Icy will sneak into the manor, take on Orfeo directly, and get back the Legendarium. Meanwhile, everyone else will lead an attack on the estate, distracting Orfeo's vampire army to allow Selina's team to operate unimpeded. Bloom and Icy aren't keen on working together, but Selina insists that she needs Icy there to make sure Bloom doesn't try anything once she gets the Legendarium back. Back at the estate, Orfeo organizes the wedding ceremony, comically organizing his vampire minions to arrange everything so he and his lover, calling her Eurydice before correcting himself to this stellar beauty, may be together forever. Stella's just kind of out of it at the moment, simply going along with the affair while under Orfeo's sway. The heroes put their plan into action. To start them off, Flora uses her nature magic to create a deep trench around the estate, which Stormy and Aisha fill with rainwater. This keeps the vampires within the manor from escaping, as well as create cloud cover to keep out the moonlight, giving the others more time to stop Orfeo. Once that's done, the Winx, Stormy, and Specialists rush in to fight the vampires. Cue epic fight scene time. Some specific fights we get are the Specialists versus the corrupted Roy and Nex, Flora versus Crystal, and the Winx and Stormy versus Darcy. Bloom, Icy, and Selina, meanwhile, enter the estate through the cemetery out back. Bloom swears that she's going to help them save Darcy, but Icy highly doubts that. She doesn't believe Bloom's sincerity, but Bloom insists that she can't turn her back on someone in need, even if that someone is one of the Trix. Selina simply stays quiet, which Icy picks up on. Closer to the estate, they find that Orfeo is hosting the wedding out here, partly for the moonlight and partly for the dramatic vibe. Selina spots the Legendarium on Orfeo's belt. Before they can rush in, they're attacked by the vampiric Stella. Bloom holds back while fighting, much to Icy and Selina's annoyance, though Orfeo quickly goes after Selina. Orfeo is determined to change his fate, saying that he deserves his happy ending and nothing will stop him, which Selina can't help but commiserate with. When Orfeo lunges to bite Selina, Bloom rushes in to save her, being transformed in the process. Both Icy and Selina are shocked by this, though their shock is quickly turned to dread, realizing they're now up against a vampiric fairy of the dragon flame. Things aren't looking much better with the others. Eventually, the heroes are overwhelmed, one by one being bitten and transformed into vampires. Macy's water magic gives her a bit of edge, and when Roxy is about to be bitten, Macy rushes in to help, her courage causing her to transform into her fairy form for the first time. Unfortunately, this doesn't do them much good as they're both quickly turned. The vampire army closes in on Icy and Selina, who are struggling against Orfeo, Bloom, and Stella. As midnight fast approaches, Orfeo leaves the two to his minions while he prepares to marry Stella beneath the now revealed moon. Icy holds them off so Selina can focus on getting back the Legendarium. She winds up being turned as a result, but Selina gets an idea. With the illusions of her moon magic, she creates a specter of Eurydice. This manages to distract Orfeo long enough for Selina to swipe the Legendarium, but she finds she can't send him back to its pages. However, distracting Orfeo this way has managed to weaken his control over his vampire army, including Stella. Pleading to Stella, Selina gets her to unleash a burst of sunlight to destroy Orfeo, in the process freeing everyone from his control. And so the day has been saved. Naturally, Selina and the Trix roll out immediately, but the others are grateful to have made it through this Halloween once again part of the living. Bloom specifically hopes this might be a sign that Selina can still be reasoned with. Nex and Crystal have been left behind as well, which means not only are they safe, but they can help provide information about Selina and the Trix. Back at Althea, Selina is grateful that's all done, though the Trix lecture her about using the Legendarium far too liberally. It may have helped them in the past, but at this point, perhaps they don't need it anymore, especially if it's going to come back and bite them later. Saying that she'll think about it, Selina leaves the room, but stays in the hall, eavesdropping as the Trix discuss how they've heard Selina talking to someone in the Legendarium, and Selina quietly panics, realizing that her loyalties to the Trix might have to be cut.